In this video, we're going to cover how to create a new assessment inside your Power DMS assessment tool. That's going to include copying over the attachments into the new assessment. And then we also want to just focus on that the requirement now in Power DMS and within your process is continuous compliance. We want you to either have or build up to 4 years of history and always maintain a 4-year look back. That's what the CALIA Compliance Services members are going to be looking for, that you always have 4 years of documentation. If you have questions on how to create this new assessment, how to copy your attachments over, please feel free to reach out to Power DMS support. I'm going to navigate away from this PowerPoint and go to my assessment in Power DMS that we're going to, this is my old assessment. Site-based assessor is left. Gotten my report from Simmers. That was my CEO was notified, and now it's time for me to create a new assessment. Before we do that, though, I'm going to open a new tab and go to the CALIA website. And in the upper right-hand corner, going to the menu under Education and Tools and Tutorials, please take a look at the best practices for continued compliance. This is where you're going to get guidance and recommendations for your naming conventions of your assessment, your attachments. Maybe in the past you had labeled your attachments year 1, year 2, year 3. We would encourage you to transition to labeling your attachments in your proofs of compliance by calendar year. You do not have to change the name of your previous attachments just through attrition. As you add in a 24 or a 25 or a 26, you're going to delete off the oldest. So delete off that year 1, that year 2, and continue to add just over time. But ultimately, it's up to you. We ask that you be consistent, but you can start to do that. And then it provides some guidance on when you add that 5th year, you're going to delete off your oldest year, always just maintaining 4 years of documentation. So the guidance here towards the end is after the final report is approved in Simmers and the CEO is notified or delivered, you're going to archive your assessment in Power DMS. You're going to create your new assessment. This is what we're going to review together. We're going to copy all of the attachments into the new assessment, and you're just going to continue to proof as if was no start or stop, as if that site-based assessment never occurred, the web-based assessment. Just continue adding those proofs of compliance, always continuous, and with special attention to time sensitive. Pay attention to Appendix G. How, what quantity of proofs should you have in there? But once you build up 4 years or have 4 years, when you add that 5th year, you're going to delete off the oldest year. So there's just some resources and guidance here. So that's the CALIA guide to uh, CALIA's best practices for continued compliance. You can find that underneath the CALIA website under Tools and Tutorials, which is found under Education. All right, so I'm on my assessment. Again, I'm all done with it, ready to create my next assessment. Uh, Through the agreement with Power DMS, you have one assessment license. You may have more user licenses, but per process, you have one assessment license, which means that I can just have one open assessment at any given time. So I can't create my next assessment until I archive this assessment. You could always open it back up if you needed to. You would have to archive any open assessment you have, but then you could open this up. You're not losing access to it. It's just archived. Eventually, it will disappear from your list within your table of contents. So a couple things that we can do here. One of the things I like to recommend if you've not already done it is you can bookmark it. So by bookmarking it, even after archived, I can find it really quickly and easily within my bookmark. Chances are you're not really going to need to do that because we're going to copy all of your attachments over and you're going to have access to those anyway. But if you want quick access, you could bookmark it. That's just a tip or trick. So I'm going to click Manage Assessment in the upper right-hand corner. And right here, I'm just going to archive this assessment. All right, that opens up or frees that assessment license. So now I can create my next assessment. I can create that assessment one of two ways, either by hovering over New and clicking Assessment, or I can go to the Standards Manual and I can generate my assessment from the Standards Manual there also. Another little tip or trick, sometimes it's dependent on the browser that you're using. I'm just going to close these other tabs, is I like to duplicate my tab. So I've got one tab open. I right clicked it up here at the top, and I'm going to choose to duplicate. That way I can leave this archived assessment open, or not open, but up and displaying on my computer at the same time as I'm going to go through the steps of creating my next assessment. I'm going to do that by hovering over New and then choose Assessment. I'm going to choose which manual I want to create it off of just for the demonstration. I'm going to choose Law Enforcement, click Continue. Assessment name. Um, you could go with some consistency here. I'm just going to copy this. Again, I would recommend that you open up that document of the best practices for continued compliance and take a look at that. So maybe I'm starting this in 224 through, we'll just say 2028. I might not know yet exactly when my next site-based assessment is going to occur. I would recommend a start date. That can be as soon as the assessor's left. That could be the beginning of the year. You choose. And I recommend a due date. So let's just put in April 20th, 2028, because again, I don't really know when my site-based assessors are going to come yet. But if you use tasks and specifically reoccurring tasks, the due date is important because that will stop those reoccurring tasks for you. It's going to default to the most current version. I can't imagine that you would want to create a new assessment off of an older version, but there's always an exception to the rule. And if you're the accreditation manager and you're creating this new assessment, go ahead and select your role as accreditation manager or however it is that you want to manage that assessment and then select save. Let that save. Essentially, we've created our new assessment, just that quick and easy. Um, I've got my archived assessment available right here. We're going to utilize that archived assessment to copy over all of your attachments from your old assessment into your new assessment. If I had not duplicated my tab, for instance, or if I had not bookmarked that archived assessment, another way to find that archived assessment is take a look at the title, and there's this little, I'm going to call it a down arrow right there, and I can now find my archived assessments in this list. So I can navigate to my archived assessment this way as well as those other ways. Also, I could find it through advanced search. So lots of different ways to find it. So this is my open assessment. This is my archived assessment. I'm going to go back to the archived assessment, to the View Assessment tab, and now to the Attachments tab. This is where all of the work is going to get done. Let me just make sure I'm assigned here. I think that I am. If I'm not, we'll find out soon enough. All right. You're probably going to have hundreds, if not thousands, of attachments within an initial assessment or within a reaccreditation assessment. In this sample assessment, I just have 203. But our goal is to copy over all of these attachments from this assessment into the new assessment. Now, you can see just at a glance, I have some other roles here, auxiliary accreditation manager. If you had other notations in here, such as mock notes, maybe a CSM notes, other types of things, you might not want to copy those over. So if I only wanted to copy over accreditation manager attachments, I could filter. So I went from 200 and some down to 170, and now I'm only going to be copying over those accreditation manager attachments. But that's up to you. I'm going to reset just so I have 203 attachments to copy over. This defaults to 50 per page. You can increase that. Um, I usually take it up to at least 100. You can take it up a little bit higher than that. Sometimes I've experienced, though, that it will time out on you if you get it too high and it takes too long for it to attach. You're going to have to, so however many pages this produces in this example, it's 3 pages. You're going to have to do these steps for each page. But if you increase the page size from 50 to 100 or 200, fewer, fewer copies and steps that you'll have to do. So over here on the left, I've got 100. I want to select all 100. Then I'm going to choose this button, Select Action. My goal is to copy the selected attachments, and I want to copy them from this assessment into my new assessment. I've got more than one open here, but this is the assessment that I just created to the role of accreditation manager. It's telling me 100 attachments are going to copy. If any attachments were not going to copy for any reason, the most common reason I see is maybe in the newer version of the assessment that you might have just created, maybe a standard was deleted, something strange like that. But most of the time they're going to copy over. Click copy one time, be patient, let it go ahead and copy over, close, and then you're going to go to the next page. And you're going to have to do this for every single page. Again, if you have 2,000, 3,000, you might have to do it 20 or 30 times, but it's just going to take a few minutes. I'm going to select action, going to copy into the new assessment to the role. Okay, let it be patient, just kind of let them all display there for you. Click copy one time, close. I'm going to go to page 3. This one just had a few outstanding. I'm going to select action, copy to that new assessment, let them load, click one time, close. All right, that's all I have to do, all of my attachments. I'm just going to come over here and refresh this. This is the assessment that I just opened. If I go to my attachments tab, 203 is what I had in my archive. 203 is what I now have in my new assessment. They're all attached. They're all highlighted appropriately. They should be in the same order. If they're not, reach out to Power DMS support. They should copy in the same order that you had them placed. And if they don't, then that's not working correctly, and Power DMS needs to know. Again, reach out. There should be some help in the success community. Power DMS support can assist you. If needed, reach out to your program manager and he or she may be able to direct you to resources that might be of assistance to you as well.